We saw that the One Island, One People resident came out in regards to the also streaming up via the YouTube and Facebook Live as well on the app. Studio on YouTube is you can find it on the Pearl Studio 981 FM on YouTube, and again on Facebook is SXM 98.1 Pearl. So it says here that that there was a protesters at the checkpoint, and it says that the free circulation of people and goods has been restored to the way it always has been for the last 372 years, following an intense and often heated negotiation with she gave in to the power of the people. If I could recall from a Facebook page that I read, it said basically it boiled down to choosing between, I guess, fighting and health, I guess. That she mentioned that the hospital is over capacity or basically filled up with such cases, and on the French side. So that means maybe on the French side, the cases are escalating, and that's also as a risk for us over here if those persons come on our side and then also basically help increase the cases again. So she said basically, I think in a nutshell, she's fair enough to say she will wash her hand off of that, because then the people have a responsibility. In that case, they got what they wanted, and so they have their responsibility in this case to do what they have to do. And then yeah, she's basically saying, she very interesting, very very interesting. Then I was reading about the particular Carnival cruise line, and because of the coronavirus that has drastically changed, make them change the direction. So if indeed the future is not to see, as they would say, que sera, and we can make all the plans that we want, but yeah, other and when I guess when you talk to them, they was like, money is not everything and so forth, and I do agree, money is not everything, and so I guess some people has to, feel to despite whatever. Very good news actually today. Just before I came on to the radio program, I'm subscribed to some persons on YouTube, and when you subscribe, they get these messages pop up when they have a new segment, a new video. And just about, I think, more less than 2 hours ago, gentleman came up with an interesting, very very interesting video. But I'll play that for the last. I want to actually play it first, but I'll leave the best for last. I actually want to catch up back with the video I didn't get to show you guys last week. Since you know that the SSRP program with the loan program for small and medium enterprises has come out. You guys need to get your act together and definitely take advantage of it. Today was also a good day for me. I actually got PayPal to work in terms of receiving funds, and that was a whole. It was definitely a tweaking and a tweaking. And I couldn't even use my cell number because of, I guess, the 721 issue, area code. I had to route it to my Magic Jack. Thank God for technology that allowed me to still be able to do that. So now I can start creating these online courses and so forth in the platform that I found, and start doing my thing. So what I want to show you guys right now, I want to show you guys the video that I didn't get to show you guys last week, and it's talking about basically the business plan. And this lady actually went through a lot of experience with it, and I'll leave it up to her to show you what basically her experience has been.
way to start. It's tough to build something successful when you don't even know what you're trying to build. After working for myself for several years, I finally got around to coming up with a plan. It was messy, it took me forever how I would reach them. Within the next 2 years, I had more than doubled the size of my business, hiring a staff of 12 people to run it for me and attracting hundreds of new customers. Since that time, I've written quite a few business plans, both also way more useful in a really practical way. If you want to get your business organized and start strategically increasing your profits and growing towards your pages of your business plan are 1. Overview, 2. Message, 3. Marketing, 4. Product, 5. Production and delivery, and finally 6. Goals. The first page of your business plan will be an overview. It's going to give a basic understanding of what your company does and the structure of your company. Now you're seeing me write it down here in my sloppy, messy handwriting. However, I've typed up a nice, neat version for you to use for yourself. So if you want a copy of that, just check the description down below. It's completely free and you can use it to write your own business plan. In that first overview page of your business plan, you want to include your business name, your company structure, the location where you do business, and also a brief description of exactly what your company actually does. The next piece of information for your company's overview is your company's mission. And this is really important because it's the driving force behind your business plan. It's what all your plans are focused towards achieving. And if you don't have a mission, it's like trying to make plans to reach a goal without having a goal. So make sure you don't skip this step. The final component of which of the major tasks involved in running the business. And the 3 main areas of accountability in most businesses are marketing and sales, operations, and finances. The second page of your business plan will focus on customers, how do you fit into their lives, and how can you help them solve a problem that they're facing and create a result that they're looking for. As you can see here, the questions that you'll want to answer are: why do you do what you do? Why should your customers choose you over your competition? And then finally, what is your company's step-by-step plan for create the results? Okay, now let's move on and talk about the third page of your business plan. This page focuses on marketing and generating their interests, their desires, and their fears. Here, you'll also want to include an estimated size of your target market, and even more important than that is with your product or service that you sell. So if you come to this part in the business plan and you don't know what to put here, you're probably going to want to do some research in finding that target customer and slightly pivoting your marketing position. The final 3 pieces of information that I recommend you include on this page of your business plan are your village contact with the people who have discovered your brand, and then finally your conversion strategy, which is essentially your sales strategy. It explains how you're going to turn those. One of the main purposes of writing your business plan is to become aware of those things that you haven't thought about yet, or that you haven't figured out, or that you do know, and what you need to figure out. Alright, now let's move on to the 4th page of your business plan. This page describes the product or products that you sell. And just so we're clear here, a product could be a physical product or a digital product or a service, but I'm just using the term product in a general sense. On this page, I highly recommend that you choose just one product as your business's primary product. You might sell several different things, you might even sell hundreds of different things, but determine what your business development will be much easier if you do have one product that is the focus. On this page of the business plan, start by first of all identifying what that product is and then describing the impact that the product creates. This is different than the result itself. It's instead how the customer's life is affected by the result of the cleaner, healthier living environment, and perhaps feels more confident inviting company over. Once you've described those 3 things for your main product, you can move on to other products that your business success plan has to do with your goals. Now, if you've looked at any examples of business plans in the past or read a guide on how to write a business plan, it's very difficult. And chances are that's because you're running a small business or maybe you've just started your business. And it's really difficult to make accurate projections or simply set goals. You can decide exactly how long you want to make your goals for, but a good place to start would be to set some 1-year goals and also some 5-year goals. That way you know what you need to work on right now, but you also have sales, total revenue, profit, impact in terms of the number of customers who you help or how wide you spread your message, and development, which could be the extent to which you've advanced the product that you create and offer, or to what extent you've built your company. And of course, when setting goals, it's always important to set specific, measurable goals and to set a deadline for when you're planning to reach them by. Alright, that's everything you need to include in your business plan. As you can see, it's 6 simple pages, and you probably already know most of the information that will be going into this business plan already. There are many other pieces of information that you may want to include in your business plan, and of course you're more than welcome to. Include any relevant information that describes how you successfully run your business and how you keep it short and relatively simple. Because if you write a document that's 20, 40 or more pages long, chances are high that nobody will ever even go back and read it ever. I recommend that you download it and print it out now, and that you schedule some time on your calendar so that you actually get around to filling it out. Because writing a business plan is one of those things that can have a big long-term impact on your business, but because it isn't actually urgent, you might put it off indefinitely. And until you make the time to write your business plan, your business will continue to be disorganized and not as strategic as it could be. Alright, well that is everything for today's video. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, then you won't want to miss the next one. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Gillian Perkins, and I look forward to seeing you again next time.
Yes. You know, sometimes some of us jump into the ocean, maybe can't even swim, but we learn to swim as we go. That's not always the easiest thing to do. So that's why I chose this one, so that you can get it. And I'm definitely going to be checking out the website shortly after I come off the station. And so I'm going to get into cracking for this page if you can. So let's get cracking into this particular video right now. Okay.
Something big happened this week. The first massive change to banking in about 100 years just happened, and it's a massive shift in the banking system, and the implications are huge. So in this video, I'm going to break down what these changes are, what this all means, and if you move right now, you have a chance to profit from this move before the rest of the world catches on. So stay tuned. All right, welcome back. If you're new to the channel, my name is Mark Moss. I do these videos because I believe the only real security we have in life is to take responsibility for ourselves, to learn how to make money, to grow our money, protect it, so that we have options in life. Now, the world's changing fast. Now, if you agree, you like these topics, you want to hear more about these topics, click the like button right now so more people hear them. Of course, click the subscribe button and the bell notification so you're notified every time I put new videos out. Now, before we jump into the topic of this video, I just want to thank everybody on this channel for watching these videos. I just received my YouTube Creators Award that I've been so excited about for passing 100,000 subscribers. I got the box. I've been waiting to open it up because I wanted to do it on video, and I had to wait till I recorded a new video. So here we are. Gonna open this up right now. And let's take a look and see what's in this box. I'm so excited. Here we go. I got a letter for 100,000 subscribers. Big news. I got a card. And what I've been waiting for. Let's take a look. Look at that. So excited. 100,000 subscribers. Of course, now we're well over 150,000 subscribers, so it takes a while to get there. The numbers are going fast, and it's all because of people like you watching this channel. So I really, really, really appreciate that. And I guess you do like these topics. So anyway, thanks for joining in. I appreciate that. You're going to see that sitting on the bookshelf behind me in the coming videos. So now if you watch this video, you're going to know what it is. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the content of this video. And we're talking about the banking system. We're talking about a change in the banking system, the first big change we've had in a long time. The banking system as we know it has been in existence for several hundred years. All right, it really started, this kind of central bank model, this central banking model that we have, started at the Bank of England all the way back in 1694. And then we saw the central bank model come to the United States. And then, this banking system, it had its kind of rough start throughout the U.S. and really it took hold in Federal Reserve Creation Act of 1913. All right, now most people watching this probably just take the banking system for granted. Now, of course, I've talked a lot about it, so if you've been watching these videos, you get a little bit better. But most people just take take the banking system for granted. And people really seem to fail to really grasp how it even works, all right? But the foundational structure of these banks, like I said, it's been completely changed. And it happened just this week, as we saw for the first time the biggest change in banking since its inception. And while this shift might seem subtle for some, the ripple effects that are going to happen that will be caused by this tiny shift is going to transform the entire banks channel. And I could see that some of you might think that, all right, because I highlight a problem, particularly in the financial space, but understand this. And so today I do have mostly all good news, because as I said, this big shift in banking that we saw is going to be a massive positive change for the country and the world. So let's just dig right into it, and let's look at what happened and what we're going to do about it. But of course, first, let's take a little trip back in the time machine. Of course, I'd love to go back into history. We're going to go back to the creation of the current banking system so we can first understand the problems with the banking, so we can then better appreciate the changes that have recently been made. Now, when the U.S. was first being founded and the banking system was first being formed, there was hundreds of banks that were popping up all the time. And then these banks, they'd pop up all over the place, and then they would be going bust. So we'd have booms and busts. Banks would pop up and go bankrupt, pop up and go bankrupt over and over and over again. And it was happening all the time. And the reason why these banks would go bust is because they would take the money and then they would loan it back out. They'd loan out depositors money. Then oftentimes these loans were bad. The bank didn't have the money to give back to the depositors. So when the depositors came back to get their money, all of a sudden the bank didn't have the funds and they would go bust. They would go bankrupt. Of course, this left the depositors broke. So it wasn't a very good situation. Now, to understand this whole period in banking was about 100 years that we saw before the creation of the Federal Reserve. It's super, super interesting, at least for me, because I'm a history nerd. But I highly recommend that you read a book called The Mystery of Banking by Murray Rothbard. And as a free gift, I'm going to give you a link to download a free PDF copy of the book, and it's in the description of this video, so you can download a free copy of that book and read it. I highly recommend it. Anyway, it's a great book. Now, the Federal Reserve was created in 1913 partly to solve the problem of these banks starting and going bust all the time. So they were supposed to backstop the banks so they wouldn't go bust. So if they ran out of money, the Fed could give them money. Now, this way the depositors didn't lose their money. And then eventually in 1933, then we saw FDIC insurance pop up, which then insured the banking deposits for the customers. Now, before you start lighting up the comments, because I can already hear your keyboard clacking away, just let me say, it's just that the value of the dollar went down, and so it takes more dollars to buy that house today. Now, the dollar's lost over 95 because it's not controlled by anybody, and because it's not controlled by anybody, it can't be manipulated by anybody. Now, over the last, I get on videos whenever I mention Bitcoin, the number one objection is, what if the government bans Bitcoin? What if the government bans it? I hear it all the time. Well, today, we have some positive changes to. I'm talking about Kraken, all right? And this is really big news because, one, it shows the idea of the U.S. shutting Bitcoin down has been. Go ahead and just jump right in so you can see how big this is. So first, Kraken is going to be a full bank. They're going to be a bank, and they're going to give you all the same services that you would set, as well as handling all your payments in and out, wire transfers, things like that, providing debit cards that can pull from your dollars or your crypto accounts, and then even currencies as well. Store it, protect it, payments, debit cards, wire transfers, the whole thing seamlessly, choosing between dollars, or take your asset and they loan it back out. Somebody else takes that asset and they loan it back out. They take it, they loan it back out over and over and over again. The first 4 videos on the money to give back to depositors is solved because with the banking license that Kraken has, they're required to keep 100% of the reserves in-house. So no matter what happens, percent of depositors went to the bank and asked for their money, it could cause the banks to actually crash because they don't have the money. Now, another huge development, especially over assets, your coins, whatever, right? You don't have any proof they have them. Their policies allow them to loan those assets out to other people, the rehypothecation I was talking about, fully transparent, they're fully audited, they're fully verified by the U.S. banking system, which is pretty strict. So you can rest assured that your funds are going going to be there, they're going to be safe. And if this sounds strange to you, assets into an exchange, legally and technically, you don't own them anymore. Instead, legally, your big distinction, because if the bank or the exchange, if they were to go bust, if they were to go bankrupt, or if regulators came in to take them over, your assets are gone, right? Your assets are gone because they're the bank's assets. They're not your assets. But with Kraken, with their new banking license that they have, legally, you continue to hold legal ownership. This is a really big deal. So if they go bankrupt, if regulators take them over, whatever happens, the assets have to be returned to the owners, to the customers, to you. So instead of having the assets claimed by a judge during bankruptcy, you get them back. And this is a really big deal. So 100% reserves, you're guaranteed that your funds are always going to be there. Two, you own the funds. They're not owed to you, which, like I said, is a really big deal. Now, I did a recent video where I called Game Theory, you can see it up here, where I talked about how a company called MicroStrategy, they made a really big move, a really bold move, and basically what they did is they took its cash reserves, they're sitting on about $500 million of cash, and they just said, hey, we don't want to hold this cash anymore. Cash is losing value, it's too much risk to hold the cash, so we're going to hold Bitcoin instead. I talked about that already. We did a video. Go check it out. So payroll, pay their employees, etc. But they can't use their Bitcoin there. Their Bitcoin has to sit over there. But now, an option to have a bank like Kraken, where your financial services, the dollars, the Bitcoin, they can all be in one account. MicroStrategy is doing. One, obviously, MicroStrategy is having massive success. Their stock price is going to the roof. So more companies want to do that. Of course, it's difficult. And now Kraken's going to make that super easy. And now businesses can now accept payments in both cash and Bitcoin right to their same banking. A little bit difficult. You have to use multiple platforms, businesses that can't really use it, but that has all changed. Now this opens up the door for way more because they're regulated by the banking industry. I think it's a really, really good option. Now the shift of banking and Bitcoin all coming together, this is a very pivotal point in time right now. So remember this time, it just happened this week. It's a very pivotal time, and I believe that the months and the years ahead are going to be super, super fast and really exciting. And basically, you have an edge right now, all right? You have access to this information before the general public does. I mean, it's right now to front run this. You have the chance to get in on this before the rest of the world starts to figure this out. This is a massive shift, and you can get Bitcoin. The government banning Bitcoin, now that the Federal Reserve has extended a banking charter to the Bitcoin Bank. Let me know what you think. All right, that's what I got for you today. Leave me a
Yes, so this is some great news, folks. I don't know if you heard about it, but it's definitely a case where they was actually pummeling Zuckerberg about his cryptocurrency and so forth. Now go to a situation where you have a regulated bank now that actually dealing with crypto called Kraken. Very, very interesting. The only hiccup I would have if we able to apply from overseas here in St. Martin, that would be interesting to see. So it would be interesting to see what this would bring. As it says here, it says, let me see here, the fee structure. Because the thing is, if they're not doing banking. How banks typically make their money. It's interesting to see how they would survive in this environment without doing that. You know, what is their fee structure? So I see in here that the fees as low as 0%. Strange. Lower your rate. Okay, that makes sense. So they're saying here, get to know the fee schedule for our trading fees, stablecoin fees, FX. Most of the other platforms are usually not regulated. In this case, this is a bank. That's the first thing I want to figure out or learn if we can definitely apply to this particular institution from overseas. It's a real nightmare. And I saw a video where it was saying one of the problems California is having as well, besides even before these itself is causing some problems. And I think the transition into that is tricky. And the gentleman was saying that he don't believe that the savings will be that much. And because I got different information, so I asked a friend of mine in England who's a technical expert in the renewable energy field to ask him to review the video to give his feedback and to see if what the guy is saying is 100% accurate. I think he has some points, but I think there's certain things that I prefer to hear it from a technical expert in that field. And for example, one of the things they were saying, it costs a lot as well to, in terms not only money but also the number of to build like a wind turbine. The energy usage, of course, to do that is also problematic. And then not only that is when the after 20 years or whatever, how long it lasts, it actually goes back into the waste actually gets back into the environment. But I think in that farm, they should have been, when it was building these things, there should have been a way to scrap them and also be dispose of them that is more environmentally friendly as well. That should have been a requirement. So I find it kind of tricky, strange that they won't do that. So it'll be good to see what my good friend in England gets back to me on that with. Transition to California has not been a smooth transition at all. And then they have these fires now is going to be problematic. Second problem, or third problem we have with California is that usually California is where most of the food comes from for the United States and also indirectly us here in the Caribbean as well. So the food chain or whatever you call it in California, definitely we have to have other sources to pull from. Holland is the second largest exporter of food. California is number one. I'm researching Brazil, and so we have to look at other avenues to source our food. If everyone's played a little part and plant a little something, if you can get at least some with the intention, because if you're going to put digital meters, as far as I'm aware, I'm not an expert again, but as far as I'm aware, digital meters is difficult to do something called net metering. With a digital meter, I'm not too sure if that's possible, but I stand to be corrected. I know the old type of meters can spin the other way. So that's something we should have definitely been in, because you have to understand how that relates to our currency situation. We have a situation right now where dollars are going to be scarce. I would suggest you hold on to them dollars, because we need dollars in order to buy our stuff from overseas. And the more stuff we buy from overseas, of course, the more dollars you need. And so you have to be careful here, because if the dollars are not flowing in because of tourism or our export product, you have to find ways to also reduce the demand for dollars in order to bring in exports. And if your export bill is huge, and that bill consists of mainly food that you're importing, oil to run the generators and so forth. Of course, a lot of those generators are also on a loan, so interest costs and repayments goes back off island as well. So the money have to flow back out in dollars. So these things, you call this the balance of payments. And of course, the balance of payments have two components. You have the current account that deals with the import and export aspect, and then you have the capital account. So capital account is, for example, if you have foreign investors and so forth that have businesses in St. Martin, investments in St. Martin, when they get their profits, they repatriate the profits, tax-free by the way, back to the holding or wherever company back off island, so that flows out, and so that doesn't stay here. You can say, well, their businesses hopefully in that way, but at the same time, it doesn't help so much when it comes to the money that flows back out. To compensate for that, you should ideally have assets in other countries as well. So it's actually, so that is that's what we call it, the balance of payments. You always ideally want to have that in balance. And when you have economic shocks, that can go wacko if you don't have it and so forth. So diversification is a very important, not only within the economy, but also outside of the economy. As far as local concern, our pension insisted or encouraged our people to also invest overseas as well. In times of famine and those type of things, you have in our dollars, and so we won't have that huge problem that we eventually going to get if the tourism export aspect doesn't to actually force you to do what you have to do. Oftentimes, though, people tend to suffer though during that transition period, but it's a process before the inevitable happens. 'Cause it's less painful. However, it's the history of the human being has not shown that most persons tend to change because of proper planning and enforcement, and they fall flat on the face, and then usually that's when they tend to change. But it doesn't have to be that way, but unfortunately it is. So I hope the as we go, as we do it more and more, we get better and better and better. I definitely have to learn some of these platforms a bit more better. It'll take some time to do that. But I want to thank you for listening. It's been a pleasure. I'm really, really, really happy with the cracking situation. So I'm definitely going to be checking out their website.